Kenya's ambassador to Ethiopia, George Orina, told Pulse of Africa that Ethiopia and Kenya are strong partners, actively working to promote peace and stability in the Horn of Africa.
In Egypt and Ethiopia, as you know, they've been fighting over the dam. Ethiopia built a dam with United States money, largely. It's one of the largest dams in the world, and it has one little problem. It doesn't allow much water going into the Nile River.
On today's episode, we'll be talking about two African countries, Ethiopia and Kenya, who holds the master key to the nuclear plant of the continent. Before I continue, do well to like, do well to share, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more finance contents like this. Ethiopia and Kenya are both very beautiful African countries. Kenya gets its light from clean energy, and this was confirmed by a Kenyan.
A country running its grid on clean energy. Not a target, not a pledge, not a pilot program. Nearly 90% of Kenya's electricity already comes from low-emission sources. Geothermal, hydropower, wind, and solar. That figure is confirmed by the International Energy Agency. The global average for clean electricity is around 30%. Kenya is running at nearly 90%. Here is how they got there. Kenya sits on the East African Rift Valley, one of the most geothermally active regions on Earth. The Olkaria complex in the rift has been generating power from the Earth's heat since 1981. Today, Kenya is Africa's largest producer of geothermal energy and one of the top producers in the world. Then came Lake Turkana, a wind farm in North Kenya built across one of the windiest corridors on the continent. 365 turbines, 310 megawatts. Africa's largest wind power facility. Hydropower has anchored the grid for decades. Solar is now scaling fast. The result is a country whose daily power supply is almost entirely clean. Not because of crisis, not because of international pressure, because the geography was right, the investment was made, and the infrastructure was built. A developing nation is outperforming the entire industrialized world on grid decarbonization. It's happening quietly, and that's today's report.
I'd like us to take some comments from the comment section. I appreciate you acknowledging how much the actual geography of Kenya affects the ability to meet this point. Our goals and our approaches need to be localized. Jay says, "Go Kenya, that's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. I've been to Kenya and it's such an amazing place." While Ethiopia gets power from the hydropower dam. Not just that, Ethiopia has made world history as the first African country to have a hydropower dam.
After 14 years of construction and $5 billion, the continent's largest hydropower dam has finally had its grand opening in Ethiopia. Standing at 145 meters high and a massive 2 kilometers in length across the Blue Nile, it is now among the top 20 largest dams of its kind in the world. It has been described as a leap into the future because now it's open, it will double Ethiopia's current energy production capacity. That's enough to power around 5 million homes simultaneously. This is a literal game changer for the country because as things stand, around 45% of Ethiopia's 130 million people lack electricity. But also this will now open up industrial and manufacturing opportunities as well. And not just for Ethiopia. With surplus power, they can even export this electricity to neighboring countries in East Africa.
I'd like us to take some comments. Fine says, "Ethiopia, king of Africa. Ethiopia, my best of Africa." This dam is meant to take Ethiopia out of darkness. This dam is the biggest dam in Africa. This dam was built by the sweat of every Ethiopian. They didn't have to borrow money from World Bank. They didn't have to get loans. They built it from their sweat, from their pocket. Ethiopia are diversifying into different things. Now, they signed a deal with Russia to build nuclear plants in their country.
Signed a new $30 billion deal with Russia to build its very first nuclear power plant. The deal was signed during a nuclear energy forum. The deal includes technical planning, the training of Ethiopian personnel, and a long-term collaboration with Russia's Rosatom. The plan for Ethiopia is to build a mega nuclear power plant to diversify its energy and to secure independence. Ethiopia plans to launch two 1,200 megawatt nuclear units by the years 2032 to 2034, whilst also exploring small, flexible modular reactors. reactors. In addition to the nuclear power plant, the $30 billion deal includes an oil refinery and 2 natural gas facilities. The Ethiopian government hopes that these projects collectively are able to meet Ethiopia's rapid increase in electricity demand.
Like us take some comments from the comment section. I understand that there is history behind Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya and area. However, we genuinely have to start thinking as one people. As an Ethiopian, every time Ethiopia succeeds, I look at it in the sense that all of Africa succeeds. Before Kenya started getting its lights from clean energy, they used to have serious light issues which led to load shedding. I'd like us to watch this video.
The government has now been forced to do what is called a load shedding, basically switching off power in some areas and leaving it on in other areas.
I'd like us to take some comments. Isn't electricity a basic necessity in the current world? This man gonna make us a 4th world country. President Kuto of Kenya says that they are working to increase the nuclear energy power in their country. Let's watch this video.
Because the deliberations here will set a new paradigm for many countries, especially in the global south, on a critical source of energy. No country in the world has ever achieved its development ambitions without adequate and reliable energy. Energy is the lifeblood of industrialization, innovation, and economic transformation. It powers our factories, fuels our enterprises, and enables the productivity that drives growth and prosperity.
The irony of everything is that even as Ethiopia gets its power from the hydropower dam, and Kenyans are getting their power from their clean energy, an average household in Ethiopia pays less than what Kenyans pay. Kenyans are paying very high amount of money for their electricity. Let's watch this video.
Makes power very, very expensive is the fact that these thermal generators, they run with what you call a peak load. They are not the base road. They just told, okay, now switch on one generator, give us the power.
Yeah.
Whether they switch one or none, they're still paid.
Okay. And these things,
But they're not paid the same amount.
Yeah.
There's a difference there. That is exactly what I'm saying. So
Let's take some comments from the comment section. He's talking about capacity based on contract, but that's just part of it. The main reason is theft, which is factored in tariff formula. They have dams there and they're not making good use of it. They are getting lights from clean energy, but they still prefer to buy lights from all the generating companies, which is making the price of electricity very high in their country. President Donald Trump advises Ethiopia about their new dam. He says that he has cut out all payments that are being made to Ethiopia. This is because he believes that Egypt is going to blow off the dam if Ethiopians are not careful.
In Egypt and Ethiopia, as you know, they've been fighting over the dam. Ethiopia built a dam with United States money, largely. It's one of the largest dams in the world, and it has one little problem. It doesn't allow much water going into the Nile River. So you can imagine Egypt's not thrilled because they live off the Nile River. The Nile River, it's blood, it's heart, it's everything.
Let's take some comments from the comment section. NN says, we've cut all payments as if it was not built by Ethiopians alone. I mentioned that earlier. Gia says, Ethiopia is in the wrong because the countries had a meeting, I think in 2016, stating very clearly that you can't build something on the river without going back to Egypt because it's 95% of our water source. If it slows down, we are doomed. And Egypt has funded many projects on the Nile River, more than Ethiopia has. So I personally think Ethiopia is in the wrong. Neighboring countries of Ethiopia are not happy with this dam. Let's watch this video.
The Egyptian government has blamed Ethiopia for the rising Nile waters and flooding in 2 of Egypt's northern provinces. The 2 countries share the Nile River, which Ethiopia's mega dam, the GERD, draws its water from. Egypt says the surge in water level has been caused by the GERD, which was launched in early September 2025. Cairo says Addis Ababa has mismanaged the process of controlling the amount of water in the hydropower dam, but Ethiopia denies. Last week, floods submerged farmlands and flooded villages in Beira and Menufia provinces in Egypt's Nile Delta.
I'd like us to take some comments from the comment section. So how did the dam contribute to the flood? First, shortage, now overflow. Ethiopia and Kenya are working hand in hand to ensure peace and stability in their country. In the end, Ethiopia's victory is that they own their own resources, they set their prices, and automatically they have the master switch. Kenyans are playing very smart and diversifying in the game. They are trying to do more things to make sure their country is stable and better for everyone. Do you think that Ethiopia still has the master key, or do you think that in the next coming year, Kenya will overtake Ethiopia? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, bye for now.